Dave, how are you, mate? Welcome to Wolf Property Buyers Agent's first podcast.
Hey mate, how are you? Thanks for having me. Feel pretty privileged to
Yeah,
be the first one here.
I'm going good, mate. Yeah, happy to have you, bro. What are you up to? You just chilling out, waiting for the podcast, mate?
Yep, just doing a bit of gardening around the house, or work fly in, fly out. So whenever I get home, just do a few things around the house, catch up on a few bits and bobs, and yeah, had a bit of time to talk to one of my good friends about something that I'm pretty passionate about. So
Ah, that's awesome, mate. Yeah, we're happy to have you. Pretty excited to get the first one under the way. So we'll kick into it, mate. But basically today, just wanted to have a bit of a general chit chat about your experience in property, whether that be investing or your principal place of residence. Just yeah, tell us a bit about your experience so far and maybe the reasons why you started on this journey.
um, I think in life, without getting too deep into it and sticking to property, but you're either quite time poor in life and money rich, or you're quite money rich and time poor. So I was trying to work out ways that I could build and create um, a life that I want for myself now and for my future and my future family. And I tried my hand at a few different things, and they're all probably great things like shares, all that sort of stuff. But
Bit of
I guess,
crypto.
yeah, a bit of crypto, yeah,
Yeah, it's getting pretty heated at the moment, isn't it?
yeah. Everyone's had a bit of a play with different bits and bobs like that. But I don't know. I just gravitated towards property, and I guess I've known you for a long time now, and this is something that you've been interested in for a long time, which just kind of helped guide me a little bit with certain things and just be really informative and teach me about this whole world because there's so many different pathways and avenues and things to learn in it. And the more um, you explain things to me in a way that I understood, uh, the more I got a handle on it. And it really, like, logically, I could see how property was my path forward to enabling me to create these future goals and my goals for myself now. So yeah, I guess that's how it all
Yeah,
started.
yeah, awesome. No, I guess it's pretty similar to me as well. Like I definitely started dabbling with a few different things before starting in the property journey. But yeah, for me at the moment, I think that's where it's at. Definitely look to go into some other things in the future, much like yourself. There'll be plenty of opportunities out there. But if you want to
Few
just
Bitcoin.
share,
No.
yeah, try and get into some Bitcoin.
Yeah.
It'd be good if we bought it when it was a bit cheaper. But anyway,
Yeah.
do you want to just share what properties you currently hold and when you bought them and just, yeah, how they're tracking?
Yeah. So I guess I probably started getting serious about property and wanting to know more probably midway through 2022. I'd always had my finger on it a little bit, but I didn't really know much. And that's when I started knuckling down with you a little bit, having more in depth conversations, more on a professional kind of level. And I guess from our conversations, we talked about what my goals were. And I think that's really, really important when you're talking to a friend that knows property or a buyer's agent or something like that, is making sure that you're being heard in what your goals are and what you want to achieve, whether it's something with a high yield, something that's a little bit more blue chip in a good area with the right metrics for you for growth, whether that's socio-economical or sort of your what is it? Your uh, vacancy rates and stuff like that. That's the word I was looking for, and a lot of other bits and bobs like that. So I also wanted it to be something for me personally that worked in with my financial goals for an investment property, but also wanted it to tick a few boxes to be possibly our personal home one day. Uh,
Yeah, sure. So you had that goal in the beginning that you might actually end up living in it.
Yeah, so I had to make sure, well, weighed up a few options whether it was viable to do something like that. And I found a place that worked for me with my investment goals and also my personal goals. So we ended up finding a 3 bedroom, 1 bathroom house in a pretty good location in Adelaide.
Yep.
The area is called Dover Gardens. It's quite near the beach, so Seacliff or Brighton. Some people have heard of
Beautiful.
Glenelg. So, and then what I did personally to look, I just searched and talked to you quite a lot, and tried to find something that was 3 bedroom, 1 bathroom, something like that on a freestanding property with a little bit of land, and that
Yep.
narrowed down my search. That was close to my partner's school for study. That was close to doctors, trains, public transport, the beach, perhaps like a complex of some sort where you've got your amenities like swimming centre, good schools, a Bunnings. Having a Bunnings close is always pretty important for a guy that likes to
Yeah.
do a little bit of
So
DIY.
were you living in the area at the time when you were looking at this area?
No, I'd never really even heard of Adelaide
Okay.
other than that's one of those unique places that people
Yeah.
sometimes visit where
Yeah, because
wine's
like you
made.
said, you do FIFO. So did you go to the area or were you interstate when you were looking and when you purchased?
I was interstate when I was looking and purchased. I was quite
Okay.
fortunate that my partner was living in Adelaide at the time,
Oh,
so
okay. So you had some boots on the ground, somebody there to check it out and do a bit of a inspection for you, but you were actually interstate.
correct. So when I bought this house, I'd never viewed it.
Yeah.
My partner came to an open. I knew what I wanted. I knew the criteria I wanted. I spoke to you quite closely about it. It ticked all my boxes. I think the final box for me on a personal level was for my partner to go through the house and see if it's somewhere she wanted to live, because that was one of my goals. And she said, I think we could really make this place work. So that was the final tick for me.
Yeah,
And then
nice. Keep the woman
had
happy, eh?
yeah, that's it. Well, keep everyone happy that, if you want to live there, it's got to be somewhere,
Yeah.
you've really got to split. My first property case is quite a unique one. However, you've really got to split two parts to that and make something personal or make something a business and an investment
Yeah.
decision, and separate those two things sometimes when you're making decisions like that. And I'm just very fortunate that I was able to split it, look at it from both perspectives, and then go, yep, it measures up to both categories, and then merge our first property together that it ticked all the boxes. So
Yeah.
it was a bit of
Oh, that's
a
really good.
yeah, a bit of a funny one with that. Where
When
we
did
ended
you
up.
purchase that property? Sorry to cut you off, mate.
No, that's right, mate. It's good to keep me on
When
track. I bought it November the 11th,
Oh yeah.
2022,
Yeah.
and I
So it's been
paid
a
I
couple of years,
paid
pretty much
I,
2 years, eh?
yeah, 2 years. I paid
November.
11th.
Oh, just over 2 years.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So I think you asked me. I paid $432,000 for the property. Uh,
Yeah.
and since then, it's currently valued at about 648, I believe. So it's grown $214,000 in 2 years.
Nice. No, that's pretty good for your first property, mate, especially something that ticked a lot of boxes and you were interstate and yeah, an area that you didn't really know. Obviously a bit of research pays off, but yeah, that's an epic result for your first property and you did it all on your own, like that's awesome, man.
I would say never on my own. A lot of research and a lot of help from friends and stuff like that, just to get
Yeah.
you in the mindset of what to think about. And I definitely think that's why having a good friend in your corner that knows a lot, or consulting some buyers agents or something like that, and no one boot fits all. Just trying to find the right person for you that fits well with you and what you want to achieve. And if they can help facilitate that, like you have with me, Unreal. So I guess we were going into Adelaide a little bit blind, but just used the same metrics and the same principles that we'd used when we'd had our conversations about buying property, and then just kept repeating, rinsing and repeating that until the right property came up, and then just went
Yep.
for it.
No, that's good. Yeah, we definitely say the same thing. It works both ways, you know. Like when you're looking for a professional service, you're looking for somebody who suits you and who fits your needs. But as a business or somebody providing that service, you do the same thing. You're looking for that client that actually suits you, and oftentimes you're customizing what your service is that you're providing for that particular client. So it works both ways, you know. But no, that's really good, mate. You've done a really good job with that one, and you're living in that place at the moment.
Yeah, we tried a few different things. Like I did put it up for rent at the start, but then I still needed somewhere to live, and then worked something out with some friends of friends. And because I'm working FIFO, they were happy to live here pretty much without me half the time and let me have a room the
Oh,
other
awesome.
half the time. So that kind of worked out pretty well. And then it also enabled me to do some renovations and use that sort of uh, $1 to $2 return kind of thing on renovations. So that's what
Yeah.
they say is like every dollar you put in, you get $2 of equity out. So it enabled me to do a little bit of that stuff with the guy I ended up moving in with here. So that worked out great. And then just
Yeah.
recently, me and my partner have made this our full-time property.
Oh, awesome.
And then that inspired me a little bit to go, all right, I reckon I'm nearly ready to buy again. Um, and I ended
Yep.
up buying a place in Western Australia to diversify a little bit. So that second property I bought on, I think it was
Oh, awesome.
May the 16th this year.
Okay.
And I paid 456,000 for that. And that was in an area down towards Mandurah in Western Australia. I bought in a little place called Dudley Park,
Yep.
and I bought a newer property, so a different style property than my property here. So it was 2011, 3 bedroom, 2 bathroom, pretty good as a rental, so not a massive garden. That's something that I could be hands off with and
Yeah. Low
self-sustainable.
maintenance.
Yeah, self-sustainable, and also something that we talked about, which was the benefits of a depreciation schedule. So I guess what's that, May 16th? That's about 7 months. And I think I've had that evaluated, and that's come in at a value just a bit over 500 and something now. So we're looking at
Awesome.
about $50,000 of equity in there in seven
Yeah.
months.
Getting a bit of growth back there already. No, that's pretty good. And
And I
obviously,
think
there's a few
the
costs involved when you get started, but seems like you're sort of starting to soak up that cost now with a little bit of growth, which is good.
definitely, like, it's not some euphoric place where it's just a license to print money,
Yeah.
which I learnt pretty quickly. However, uh, it does give you lots of opportunities, and once you understand uh, all areas of it, it only gets easier. So mine's got a pretty healthy yield, which helps. I think it's maybe 5.8 or something like that, the yield on that property, so the rental return.
Yeah.
And
Awesome.
even if it's a little bit negative, it's still helping me out in other areas, which means I'm getting a bit of a kickback with the depreciation schedule that's also tax deductible. And any good buyer's agent should be able to like help educate you on things that you want to learn about,
Yeah.
not just the asset that you're buying as well. If they take the time to say, hey, what's the depreciation schedule, they'll sort of be able to run you through that sort of stuff and coach you and guide you a little bit.
Yeah, it can be pretty simple, but there's also a lot of pieces of the puzzle that you can put it all together to make it a lot easier and obviously more beneficial. I was going to ask you a few questions. The first one being just what kind of advice you'd have to somebody who is looking at buying their first home and they were sort of stuck on, oh, I really want to buy my first home, but they weren't really open to the possibility of just buying an investment property instead and renting? Like what would you say to something like that, just to help them sort of see the different perspective?
Educate yourself, understand as many different areas as around what a conveyancer does, what a mortgage broker does, what a buyer's agent's role is, and what you can lean on all of these different people for knowledge wise, advice wise. They do this stuff every single day. So it's just like putting their shoes on to go to work, right? Imagine explaining to
Yeah.
somebody else how to tie shoelaces. You just kind of do it, right? Whereas
It's a good one.
us or these people that are coming into this space and doing this for the first time, it's quite daunting, and it can be a little bit intimidating when you've got a professional there that has done this before and is like, oh yeah, you just do this and you just do that, and they skim over stuff. Where you're like, hang on a minute, I don't have that much confidence yet. I'm just getting into this game. You need to explain what, oh yeah, this is easy is. So then me personally, I can understand that, digest that, come back with any questions about that. And then in that, I felt more comfortable. And then maybe one of the other things that I would say is sit there and break it down, make it digestible. So like do the maths on it, like run the maths on it, work out how much your ingoings are going to be, how much your outgoings are going to be. And this is what I said about like your tax and everything like that. The more you understand about these things, the more things you can factor into this breakdown. So you can nearly pinpoint without something major going wrong, like your house falling down or something like that. But that's what insurance is for. You can kind of
Yeah.
pinpoint how much this is going to financially cost you each week, each day, each month, stuff like that, and factor that into your life. And when you break that
Yeah.
down, like I looked at the property in Mandurah because I was like, oh, I'm doing this on my own. Darcy, can I can I afford to have $1 million worth of debt or something like that? And I broke it down and looked at it and the vacancy rates as well, which are important, looked at the risks and the rewards, potential rewards. And it wasn't going to cost me that much per week, not much more than going out maybe once a week to
Yeah.
take my partner out for a nice glass of vino, you know. But
Yeah.
make sure you do your own due diligence and make sure that whatever you do and decide on is something that you're comfortable with. You have to be in a place that you feel comfortable and aware and educated enough of what you're getting yourself into.
Yeah, for sure. No, I completely agree with all of that. Obviously, it can be so overwhelming, especially the first one. Like, I remember the first property that I bought was a new build. We built a home, which wasn't too bad, but when it came to buying an investment property, my first one was actually interstate as well. And I did use a buyer's agent for that. And a lot of it, I didn't know what I was doing and I had no idea, but I just had that professional to be able to bounce the ideas off. And me at that particular time in my life, I was willing to take that risk of just learning as I go. Whereas other people find the need to be able to get themselves ready and understand everything before they make that move. And just sort of what you were saying is it's really important for you to be comfortable with the level of risk, because we're all different people. Some people are happy to go ahead and just do it, and see what happens. Other people really want to understand it. But as long as we don't have that analysis paralysis where we just are stuck and we're not doing anything because we're just trying to understand absolutely every little moving piece. But yeah, I think that's a really good advice, mate. And do you think you'll be looking at buying another property in the near future, or where you're sort of sitting with that?
Yeah, yep. I might be buying my first one through you, Das. Yeah, I'm starting to get itchy feet. Excuse me, itchy feet again a little
Oh,
bit.
nice. Caught the bug.
Yeah.
The property bug, not the cough you've got there.
Yeah, that's the one. dry, dusty air in Adelaide over here. No.
Yeah,
So so I probably would say I'm trying not to get too caught up with the noise. Like, this is the other thing you get. It's always the best time to buy. It's always the best
yeah,
time to sell, or whatever the hype is, right? And there's obviously a lot of talk about interest rate cuts at the moment, and that's gonna, you know, bring the house prices up and this and that and whatever. However, we don't really know. We can predict. There's a crystal ball, but bottom line is, and I think one of my favourite quotes that I've ever got from you that just came to mind was, "It's the right time to buy when it feels right for you to buy." So it was something along
yeah.
those
That's right.
lines, and it really resonated and stuck with me. Like, who cares if it's 400,000 or if it's gone up to 450,000? Maybe it wasn't the right time for you to buy back then. You really need
Yeah,
to make sure within yourself that you're in a position that you feel good about the purchase. And I'll tell you right now, buying this first property in Adelaide has been one of the hardest decisions for me to make. Like, getting myself to that point where I had confidence to be able to pull the trigger and get myself in a place where I felt good about it and had a trusted team around me and stuff like that, and educated enough. But one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life, and we are so happy with that.
yeah. No, that's
And then
awesome, man.
it also gave me the confidence and just allowed me to stack my knowledge to be able to go for the second. And then probably the third will be sometime next year, I'd say.
Ah, that's exciting. Yeah, you're completely right. The most important thing is for us to purchase when it suits us. And there's so much noise going on in the world, especially with the interest rates. Everyone's saying they're going to come down, they're going to come down, they're going to come down. But as a lot of the experts are saying, that these are kind of the normal rates that we should to expect. And to be honest, even if the interest rate goes down by 0.5%, it's probably not going to make a lot of difference to most people. It's really so marginal, that difference. So it's just a matter of zoning out and blocking out all the noise and just trying to figure out what's best for us to do. So look forward to seeing what you do next year and what you're looking at purchasing. I'm pretty excited for that. Um, I think the only other question that I had for you today, mate, was if you could purchase a property anywhere in the world, whether that be for an investment property, a holiday destination, a business, whatever it is, where do you think you'd find yourself buying?
Tell you what, me and my partner found a pretty cool spot on a little lonely Greek island there a few years ago with
Oh, yeah.
olive groves and private little beaches and stuff like that. I'll tell you what, I could see myself sitting there having a nice little olive farm there, walking down to my little private beach and having a little, glass of vino and a nice Greek salad. I'll tell you what, but yeah,
Ah,
that's probably
beautiful.
somewhere that I could see myself buying more from a personal point of view for that rather than a
Yeah.
financial point of view. But we've all got to have that balance of enjoyment in life as well. That's kind of what it's all for, right?
Yeah, well, I reckon if you continue on this journey, mate, you might get there someday. You might be able to use your property portfolio to send yourself over to this little Greek island, mate. Anything's possible, isn't it?
That's that, on a more serious note. That is possibly part of the plan. So my partner's European.
Yeah,
We will possibly be looking at going back to Europe at some point in time.
awesome.
And the plan is hopefully to be able to use some equity from whatever homes that I have to be able to purchase our first home over in Europe. So
Ah, very good, man. I love
gives us,
hearing some plans.
gives us more options, a bit of diversity as well in our portfolio. And
Yeah,
then depending on where we want to be, whether it's WA or Adelaide or Europe, we can just rent one and live in the other one. Or there's other options like rent vesting as well. It's something that,
yeah,
you could do a bit of research on if you're interested in property, and it works for some and not so much for others. It depends what the individual needs. But there's so much stuff out there. There's
yeah,
endless possibilities. So I'm sure that if investing is something that you want to do, as long as you're interested enough and have the right podcast or the right people to talk to, and a buyer's agent might be one of them to help get that going and stuff like that. It just opens up your mind to the endless amount of open doors of opportunity and possibilities there.
Yeah, there's so many different ways you can do things, so many different options, so many different opportunities, you know. Some people purchase their own home, some people invest in business and just rent for their whole life. So, yeah, no, that's really good, man. Appreciate you jumping on today and sharing your story. I think we'll wrap it up there. Really appreciate that time that you've spent with us today and sharing your story and dropping some nice little gold nuggets for the audience, mate. Love it.
No worries. Whatever you do, guys, just enjoy the process because this is about you. It's not about anyone else. You've got to have fun and make this something that's a pleasant experience because you just want to come back for more, you know, like it'll be a positive, great part of your life, which it's been for me. And I've just loved every minute of it. So learning the whole process, chats with you, chats with other people, even the little things that come up out of the blue that maybe like weren't expecting or didn't anticipate. And you're like, oh, I didn't realize that. It's still a beautiful place for like growth and learning. And they're only little things like, and they might sound silly to some, but like how rates, water bills, all that sort of stuff works, what you can tax, what you can't
Yeah.
offset on your tax, positive, negative gearing, all those sorts of things. Learning that stuff is so valuable, and you can pass that knowledge on to others, I guess, like we're hopefully doing today. So keep up the
Yeah,
good
very
work,
true.
guys. Enjoy.
Very true. All right. Thanks, guys, for tuning in and having a watch of this video. As always, time to make some changes and take control of your life. Have a great day, guys.